the 8th day of December. Clipper was catching up on his sleep after the long journey, but Balto and Tandra had not slept. There must be something in the Niece handbook that can lead us to the trolls of the glen, Tandra said. But Tandra, we've been reading for hours and we still haven't found out where the glen is located, Balto answered. I suppose we should just start from page 1 and read the entire book. But that will take days. This Niece handbook is so thick, Balto said thoughtfully. I don't know what else to do. If we don't find the answer soon, there's no telling what will happen to Pendulum. Balto pondered the situation for a few minutes. Then he said, Clipper will be awake soon. I'll make some lunch. Then we should take a break, and we've been reading all morning. After lunch, we'll be fresh again. I suppose you're right, Tandra replied, as she was about to close the book, but at that moment her eye caught something. I found it, she cried. I found the passage that will lead us to the trolls. Balto stood over her shoulder as she read. If a niece should ever become a prisoner of the trolls of the glen, call upon the white mare, for the white mare can gallop across the sky from one end of the kingdom to the other. She can see everything that lies below, including the glen where the trolls live. Of course! I forgot about the white mare. She can take us to the trolls of the glen, Tandra shouted. Tomorrow we'll call her and ask her to carry us there. How will we summon her? Balto said. Tandra consulted the book once again. The white mare can be summoned with 2 toots from a Niece whistle. All nieces carried a Niece whistle. Tomorrow morning I'll blow the whistle, and she'll appear. While Balto and Tandra made their plans to find Pendulum, Miranda and the prince were walking together down the long halls of the royal palace. Just a little farther, Miranda, and we'll be there, the prince said. This surprise better be worth it, Miranda said. I'm missing valuable time at my drafting table. All the work and no play isn't healthy, Miranda, the prince said, and you've been working hard, so you deserve a surprise. Well, I'll have to admit, I do like surprises, Miranda confessed as she formed a smile at the corner of her mouth. I'm happy with the progress you've made on the Christmas palace, the prince said. Miranda took advantage of the prince's good humor. Your Highness, since I'm doing your bidding, could you release my uncle? I can't bear to see him locked up in that room day after day. I won't release him until he apologizes. It's you who should apologize. My uncle has served you loyally for a long time. He's been like a father to both of us, ever since your parents and mine passed away. I'm sorry, Miranda. I know this upsets you, but I must have discipline in my kingdom. Besides, I think Chloe expects it of me sometimes. You have absolutely no compassion. When our parents died, Chloe raised us as if we were his own children, and this is how you repay his kindness? Miranda, let's not fight again. Why can't we ever have a discussion without arguing? They had come to the tall doors at the end of the corridor. Now close your eyes. We're here, the prince said, and give me your hand. Miranda closed her eyes and held her hand out to the prince. He opened the tall oak doors and they entered the room. You can look now, Miranda. The room was ablaze with sparkling lights. Miranda couldn't believe her eyes. Dozens of Christmas trees filled the room, each decorated with hundreds of tiny candles. Miranda walked between the rows of pines and firs. She brushed against the silky boughs of the blue spruce and admired the 2 tall red spruces that reached to the ceiling, 40 feet above her head. She bent and collected some of the cones that had littered the floor. She happily breathed in the scent of fresh sap. They're beautiful. I've never seen so many Christmas trees in my life. Where did they come from? I had my foresters collect trees from all over the kingdom, the prince replied. I want you to pick the most beautiful tree of all, and we'll use it as the first official Christmas tree in the new palace when I move in on Christmas Day. Miranda stood back and let her eyes take in the forest before her. They're all beautiful. It's difficult to choose one over the others. She looked from tree to tree, settling finally on a fine red spruce hung with tiny silver snowflakes. In a forest, in a glen, in a field, or a fox's den, there grows a seed, a little each day, bursting forth on the 1st of May. Through range of spring and summer's warmth, under autumn's cloak and winds from the north, the little seed grows strong and tall, until that day it decks the halls. Balls of glass sparkles on green, presents wrapped with all our dreams. Candy canes dangle, and strings of berries adorn your figure to make us merry. Later that afternoon, Clipper and Balto were gazing out over the kingdom from the tower of the Niece palace. Clipper, let's find out which palace has vanished today, Balto said, putting the spyglass to his eye. Clipper looked at the list in his hands. Is it the red palace? He asked. Balto turned the telescope in the direction of the red palace. Its sparkling shape filled the telescope. Nope, the red palace is still there. Clipper continued down the list. Is it the green palace? Balto searched for the horizon for the green palace. The crescent shape of the high, thin palace came into view. Nope, the green palace is still there. What about the amber palace? Once again, Balto scanned the horizon. Let's see, Amber Palace should be right over there. He pointed the telescope in the direction of the sun, and the reflection of the Amber Palace almost blinded him. Nope, the Amber Palace is still shining, he said, blinking. Then maybe it's a turquoise palace, Clipper said, as he came to the bottom of his page. The turquoise palace. The turquoise palace is beside the black palace. Yes, there's a black palace, but no turquoise palace. Are you sure? Clipper said. Balto looked again, but he couldn't locate the turquoise palace anywheres. It's gone. Clipper put a mark through the turquoise palace on his list. He counted all the marks on his list. First the blue palace, then the yellow palace, then the orange palace, the crimson palace, the lilac palace, the pink palace, and today the turquoise palace. 7 palaces have vanished. Balto tucked his telescope into his belt. Papa, are you excited about visiting Troll Castle tomorrow? Clipper asked. I'm excited about riding the white mare, but not excited about the trolls, Balto said. Don't worry about those trolls, Clipper said. I'll protect you. Balto chuckled and gave his son a hug. They heard Tandra calling them to dinner. They climbed on the railing and slid down the spiral stairway. Round and round they slid, down and down until they landed right in the middle of the niece kitchen. Wash your hands, you two, Tandra said as she spooned out a double serving of rice pudding into each bowl. At that moment, in the royal palace, Close sat back in his comfortable chair in front of the fireplace. Tomorrow the nieces set out for Troll Castle, he mused. I'd better put a couple of extra logs on the fire. I have to keep an eye on them all day. He threw 3 logs onto the fire and glanced at his watch. Miranda is late for dinner again, he said. I hope she hasn't had another argument with the prince. But Miranda had spent the rest of the afternoon in the Christmas tree room with the prince. They laughed and talked about everything that had happened to them over the past year. And in the dungeon of the Troll Castle, Archibald and Pendulum had become good friends and were playing a game of checkers. Upstairs, Fanica was snoring away in her rocking chair as she dreamed about the niece handbook. For one reason or another, everyone in the kingdom was happy this night. Until tomorrow. Good night.